Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am here for a Friday Reads. I haven't done a Friday Reads since I think it was May, and in that Friday Reads I said that it was going to be my last one for the foreseeable future. And if you really like Friday Reads, I am sorry, but it is still not going to be a regular thing, just with the way my work and life schedule is right now. It is very, 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 very rare that I can film a Friday Reads. I usually have to pre-film things like way in advance in order to edit them and get them up. So like Friday Reads just don't really work for me right now. I will bring them back when my like work schedule / life schedule changes. But I just so happen to have had time today to film and edit one to get up today on Friday. So I thought, why not just film a Friday Reads? Especially because this is basically going to be my August wrap up a little bit early. I am still reading something, but it is that big 1,000 page book, which I'll show you in a minute, that I'm reading. So like I'm not going to be done it before the end of the month, and probably not before the end of September anyway. So I figure I might as well just talk about the two other books that I finished in August, and it didn't make sense to film like an entire separate August wrap up just for those two books. Anyway, I am rambling as I normally do during Friday Reads. So let's just get into the two books that I read. The first one is a comics journalism collection, Palestine by Jo Sacco. Comics journalism is something that is fairly new to me, so I'm still kind of like learning like the best way to consume it. I did enjoy it. Well, enjoy's a weird word because it's sad. It's a sad read. But I did get a lot out of it. One thing I kind of appreciated, but also rubbed me the wrong way, but I appreciated the honesty, was Jo Sacco's way of how he inserted himself in the story, and how he explained his own feelings. So this collection I think came out in the early to mid 90s, sometime in the 90s. I don't have the physical copy with me anymore because I borrowed it from the library. But essentially, he visited Palestine after one of the bigger uprisings in the late 1980s. So this would have been early 90s, I think. And he talked to a lot of Palestinians, young people, elderly people who had been there like back in 1948. And I thought it was really interesting. It really showed me a lot of the places that I have gaps in how I understand kind of like the history of Palestine and Israel. But back to what I was saying about how I appreciated, but also how it rubbed me the wrong way. So in the collection, in the comics, he is talking about his experience as a journalist, being there, his interviews. So he's always in the story. I walked here, I talked to this person was my guide. And you get a little bit of his inner monologue along with the stories of the people he is interviewing. And I think it kind of took a lot of guts, but some of the things he was thinking were not the nicest. They were a little callous, flippant, I guess would be the right word. He's hearing these stories and he's becoming desensitized to some of the suffering. And you see that in his inner monologue. You see it when he's saying, like, yeah, another sob story. And those moments would really catch me. But I did appreciate that, and I think it's a very honest look at the stories that he was portraying, but also kind of like the Western glance and gaze into that world. If you're going to pick it up, just know a couple things. It is primarily a Palestinian story. There is one chapter at the end where it's kind of like right before he is leaving Palestine. He goes to, I think it was Jerusalem, but just before he's leaving, he he spends a couple of days with a couple of Israeli women, and they're talking about Palestine, and they're not really grilling him, but saying, well, why didn't you talk to any Israelis while you were here? And his whole point is, I only had so many weeks and I barely had enough time to cover this story of Palestine. To do a story on Israel, I didn't have enough time. And also, where I live in the USA, people already know these, like, Israel's story, but most don't know Palestine's story. So that's kind of the framework in which he presents the series. So know that. And also, I would say, if you know nothing about the history of Palestine at all, I wouldn't say this is a good jumping off point. He throws stuff at you. It's not a beginner text, I guess. So I don't think you would need a lot, but even just like going to a couple of online sources just to get kind of like a summary of the chronology of what's happened would be useful. So that's my 2 cents on that collection. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. My one criticism would be it's not a beginner thing, although I don't know if that's really a criticism because he doesn't present it in that way. But I think I gave it about 4 stars. I thought it was really, really well done. I liked the style of the illustrations. It felt very journalistic and like you were seeing like news clips, but in comics form. I will insert a couple of things here because I think I have some on my phone of some of the layouts. And yeah, so would recommend that overall. The other thing I finished in August, I started in July for Jane Austen July, but it was Emma, and I liked it. I'm not going to say too much. It's a classic, and either you already know what it's about, or you can find that information very easily. But this, I thought, was charming, as I always find Jane Austen's writing. But this is definitely my least favorite Austen that I've read so far. I have read Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, and I liked those two more than this one. I would give this like a 3.5, I think. So charming, delightful. I liked the character of Emma. I thought her love interest was a little bland, like not as colorful as, say, like Darcy, or you know what I mean? But it was fine, but I wasn't really interested in that relationship, but I was interested in Emma and like her friendship with Harriet and how she's always poking her nose in things, and a shout out to the character of Mr. Woodhouse, because I don't think he gets mentioned very often, but I loved her father in this. He was so like neurotic and what's the word I'm looking for? Like a germaphobe or like a hypochondriac, and she takes such good care of him, and she's always kind of like placating him. But I just loved their dynamic, and I thought he was a great secondary character that I don't think I've heard people talk about before. So yes, enjoyed that. Not my favorite Austen, but I thought it was really cute. Those were the 2 things I finished. What I have finally started, I'm happy to say, is To Green Angel Tower by Tad Williams. This is the 3rd and final installment in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn trilogy, which I can never say. It's an epic fantasy. This is an epic book. It is 1,000 and some odd pages long. Like, it looks like I've barely made a dent, but I've read almost 100 pages. And even though the size of this is daunting, I'm feeling a lot less intimidated than when I first started, because I am really enjoying this one more, I think, than the first 2. I enjoyed the first 2, but I'm flying through this. I know it doesn't look it, but I'm flying through this a lot quicker than the other 2. And I don't know if that's just because I'm familiar with the characters now. I'm not having to use as much brain power to figure out who he's talking about and the different lands and geographies and politics and whatever. I feel caught up, so I can just enjoy the story. So that might be it. I don't know, but I am really loving the story, and I'm going to pick away at that for the rest of August through to September. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to read, because I will be devoting most of my time to reading it, but I don't want to say that is going to be the sole thing that I read. Like, I'm going to break it up this weekend reading some graphic novels, and I might break it up here or there with other things, but I do want to focus most of my time on it. Anyway, I don't want to ramble for too long. Like I said, this is just a sporadic Friday read, so don't get used to it, but I will be back with like my normal wrap-ups and tags and whatever. You can expect, now as we're entering the fall, which is my favorite season, you can expect a lot more like spooky, horror, supernatural, like gothic type of books on my TBRs and in my wrap-ups, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's a nice, like, I like the spooky reading season, I like the cozy reading season, so I'm here for it. It was so great to be back and doing a Friday Reads, and hopefully maybe in a couple months I'll be able to do these more frequently again because I do enjoy them. But I guess that's it for Friday Reads for now. Thanks as always for watching. We'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.